Welcome to your deep dive into sleep. I would say 80% of females coming to seek advice and solutions from our clinic report very disrupted sleep. This masterclass, a deeper dive into sleep, is designed to give you a blueprint of maximizing your sleep. Please always keep in mind that one of the first things you can do, and one of the most powerful things you can do, is ensure that you have enough progesterone to balance against estrogen. This is a key part of your sleep jigsaw. Obviously, we're not going to cover that here today. That's something you need to cover with a Dutch test and an experienced practitioner. So let's begin. Great night's sleep starts first and foremost on how and when you wake up. Let's look at this. Does the concept of waking up to an alarm clock, even the name gives it away, is that the correct way to start your day? There are so many fantastic daylight alarm clocks out there which allow you to awake gradually. Starting your day with a vicious jolt into reality, putting you into fight or flight, is really starting your day on the wrong foot. And this is important because cortisol is a key player in your sleep equation. And we look at the Dutch tests for all of our clients, and we see quite often that those that have really disruptive sleep have really disrupted or inappropriate levels of cortisol. This is an easy win. Swap out your alarm clock for a daylight alarm clock and awake gradually. Awake gradually, and even better than that, when you awake, try and get up as close as possible to sunrise. There is some great data coming out around this from the mitochondrial medicine field, where basically people are waking up literally to the concept that we have a suprachiasmatic nucleus. Now, this sits just here above our eye sockets, and when we get up and we see early morning light, that communicates to our 37 trillion cells that it's time to start the day. This resets cellular function. It is really important in preventing disease. And more importantly, it's really important in ensuring that you have vibrancy and energy, because this is communicated to all of those mitochondria in the cells, which are magnificent sensors. They're not just the powerhouses of the cells, they're environmental sensors. Remember, your mitochondria are so much more than simply the powerhouses of your cells. This is all we're hearing out there. That's one of their tiny bit roles. One of their really important roles is they are environmental sensors. When you wake up as close to sunrise as possible, and you see all of that full spectrum early morning light, that is communicating to your mitochondria, it's communicating to your cells, it's telling them to start working, it's setting what we would call your circadian rhythm, and it's also setting you up to release melatonin in approximately 12 hours or whenever it is when you're going to bed to ensure that good night's sleep. And this is why how and when you wake up is getting outside for 15, 20 minutes, maybe to enjoy your morning coffee around sunrise, is a massive win. Not only you can stand barefoot in the garden if that's your thing, if you have a garden and temperatures allow. Why? You're getting all the benefits of grounding, you're getting all of those free electrons from the earth, you're getting this daylight in your eye. And this is where it's quite confusing, because we see a lot in social media about the negatives of blue light. Well, it's all a question of context, when it's friend and when it's foe. First thing in the morning, the blue light that we see in a sunrise is really important for setting up this melatonin release later in the day. And just as a side note, it's a really easy way to help recovery from jet lag is to get up at sunrise in the time zone that you've arrived in, because that blue light just resets your clock so much quicker than if you sleep into your normal time. Blue light at this point, and I'm going to have to change my pen, is your ally and you should be using it. This is exactly when you want blue light. So what are the things that we should be doing first thing in the morning? Well, if you've got a busy and potentially stressful day, actually taking 5 minutes to do a little bit of box breathing whilst you're outside enjoying your coffee, getting that blue light. This is not to be underestimated. Box breathing is employed by everybody from professional performers, athletes, special forces, politicians, CEOs to great effect. Why? It drops you into parasympathetic nervous response. It allows you to develop resilience to stress. And when you're in the parasympathetic nervous response, which is part of your autonomic nervous system, you use more of your brain space, you come up with more creative solutions. You're less likely to be reactive to your partner, to your kids, to your pets, to your colleagues at work. Basically, you're building a better day by looking after yourself and how you feel and how you show up. Try it. Try it just for a week and comment below. The feedback we've had over a decade of getting people to do this or encouraging them to do it is really, and it's really off the charts. People say, wow, I wish I'd known this 10 years ago. And this is all the more important for anybody going through perimenopause and menopause, where patience may be in short supply and you're more likely to react to people. Getting up not to an alarm clock, but to a daylight alarm clock. Seeing a sunrise, having some space for yourself, getting that blue light on your eye, setting you up for that all-important melatonin release, and doing even 3 minutes of box breathing can change your day. That alone can be a giant win. Now, let's have context. If this is amount and this is time, we want your cortisol to rise gently and come down slowly towards the evening, and melatonin to rise so you can fall asleep. This is key. If your cortisol goes up like this and comes down like this, well, it's going to overshadow melatonin. It's going to impede your ability to go to sleep. So getting this right is really important. Staying in front of it so that you're not starting as if it was an Olympic sprint is a game changer for your health. Next, we're going to talk about caffeine. I'm going to clear some space because we have lots to discuss about caffeine. I love caffeine. I always encourage people to use it, but to use it wisely. Now, there's a couple of golden rules around caffeine. It's a little bit like trying to tame a wildcat. So what are they? Well, number one is stop any caffeine at least 12 hours before you go to bed. So if you're aiming to go to bed at 10 o'clock that evening, that means that you are going to stop by 10 that morning. Now, this is a big shock for lots of people. And most of the people that we see who are actually reporting sleep disruption are drinking tea through the afternoon to prop them up, and it's helping them feel tired and wired. Or they're even falling into that sand trap of drinking green tea because it's healthy. Well, shock horror, green tea has lots of caffeine in it. It also has some other stimulants in it. I personally, if I so much as look at green tea, that next evening I'm going to be awake at 2 o'clock in the evening, wondering how the man that drives the snowplow got to work in the morning. Try cutting all caffeine out, and that's everything. That includes any, if you find it in kombucha, energy drinks, they're a killer. So caffeine, first and foremost, number one importance. If you've got sleep disruption, stop any caffeine 12 hours before you go to bed. Next, we have quantity. And bearing in mind, this is a sleep masterclass, so it's aimed at helping people to sleep who are having problems sleeping. Cut back to a maximum of 2 cups of coffee or tea. This is really key. You will be able to introduce it once your sleep's more robust and more solid, but I'm really happy to share with you that people who have used this blueprint have reported back. I have literally had messages on my phone saying, I don't know what you've done. I can't remember sleeping that deeply. This is amazing. This is life-changing. I've not slept like this for 15 years. Put all of these little steps into place and then slowly take them out. This isn't going to be one thing which changes your sleep. It's going to be a combination of things whilst you relearn to sleep through the night. Once you've got there and you're getting a solid night's sleep, you don't need to be doing all of this every day. You can experiment, and maybe you have that espresso a little bit later and then you notice your sleep's disrupted and you go, okay, now I'm super incentivized to not do that anymore. The next is quality. You probably all know that coffee comes in 2 types of bean largely, Robusta, Arabica. Try switching to Arabica. It's a lot smoother, it has a lot less caffeine content, and it doesn't give you all of the jitters which are sometimes associated with Robusta. So, quality, head for Arabica. The next one is to check and make sure it's a really good source, and that is mold free. I've seen countless times where clients have said, wow, I can't drink coffee. It gives me the jitters. It makes me feel really wired. I'm all over the place with it. Well, sure, there are some people who are genetically predisposed to have a poor caffeine metabolism. But in 90% of cases, it's because the coffee they're using is contaminated by mold, and this is triggering their immune system. So try looking for a coffee which is certified mold-free. This is really, really game changer, and you might find that you've suddenly got clean, smooth energy throughout the day without all the bumpiness. A little tip here for those of you who are very sensitive, you can always take your coffee with an amino acid called L-theanine, which gives you smooth, jitter-free focus and will help work with the caffeine to keep your productivity. Just a little tip. Now, the last part is never, ever, 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 ever decaf. Why? There's a great reasonology for this. Caffeine is a natural mold inhibitor. So if there is actually mold on the coffee beans where they may have been dried on the rainforest floor or as part of the process, you know it's fairly strong mold. Removing the caffeine from the beans means they are super susceptible to mold growing on there. Think about it. You have a natural organic plant product, damp, drying out. Of course, it's susceptible to mold. I've seen lots of clients, especially in the last 2 years, who have made a healthy choice switching to decaf, and then we see their thyroid peroxidase antibodies shoot right up. Why? They're getting a regular dose of mold. So if you tempted to make the switch to decaf, I would urge you not to. Very, very reassuringly, all of these clients who have then switched either off coffee entirely, including decaf, or reintroduced coffee, they've seen these peroxidase antibodies go down and their thyroid production renormalize. Really important to be aware of that. Decaf is not the healthy alternative. Okay, so This is building your perfect day for the perfect night's sleep. Afternoon. Well, if you've got any big meetings coming up, you've had anybody annoy you at work, you've been cut up in the traffic, or things aren't quite going the way you thought they would, well, coming back to this box breathing, it's virtually impossible to not be in parasympathetic nervous dominance, feeling calm, focused. This is a game changer. So remember to do some more box breathing. We like to call this IBW, intermittent breath work. It's a really good way for staying in front of this cortisol curve, helping you deal with stress and actually just enjoy your day more. Obviously, there is zero caffeine in your day, in your afternoon, because you've stopped 12 hours before you're going to bed. What else? Now you're going to be limiting your exposure to blue light. There are two types, largely, of blue light blocking lenses out on the market, which have been pioneered by the biohacking geeks amongst us. And really, at this point in the day, you would want the daytime ones. These still allow some blue light. They're not blue, total blue blockers, which you would use in the evening. You might find yourself snoozing off at your desk if you're actually using the total blockers. You want the daytime ones with there, which are still allowing some blue light in. One of the things I didn't mention in here, which is really important for both energy, cortisol, blood sugar, is eat within 45 minutes of waking. No fasting is significantly more important than intermittent fasting. I appreciate that intermittent fasting has had a heyday and lots of attention to it. So much data is now coming out that actually this is making our cortisol spike as we go into something called gluconeogenesis. It is basically producing stress. It's putting our bodies into fight or flight. And a lot of the athletes that I've looked after, especially in the past, have found that two particular things have really disrupted their sleep. One is intermittent fasting, and the other is either going keto or super low carb. If you don't have enough blood sugar for you to perform the essential brain functions and ensure that your body is actually producing enough energy, what happens is your cortisol will spike to start a process called gluconeogenesis, and you will effectively catabolize, break down either your gut lining or some muscle tissue, whichever's the most easiest, to create blood sugar. Now, if that sounds a little bit medieval and brutal, it's because it is, and it's not sustainable. And it's particularly damaging to females in perimenopause and menopause who have already got enough stress both in their system and psychologically. So please be kind to yourself. If you've got disrupted sleep, ensure you're eating 45 minutes and waking. Ensure you've got a really good, complete protein source to reassure something called these POMC neurons, that you're not being starved, that it is safe for you to proceed. We can go into something called cell danger response another time, but eating is really important. And I've seen countless clients just dial in their sleep by ensuring they're eating in the morning, which brings this cortisol down. Okay, so let's just recap. Afternoon, you're going to do some box breathing or intermittent breath work, one and the same thing. You're going to be avoiding caffeine. You're going to be limiting blue light. And then as we make that transition time, let's say around 5 or 6 in the evening, you're going to limit exposure to devices. This is why you're recalibrating. This is super important. What else can you do? Well, as you get towards the end of the evening, you can switch off Wi-Fi. Now, I appreciate this may be challenging to lots of people out there. The research that's coming out about non-native electromagnetic frequencies, non-native EMFs, disrupting mitochondria, spiking cortisol, actually putting you into fight or flight needs to be taken seriously. We need to be discussing this a lot more. Bluetooth headphones, holy moly, how is that even allowed when we know that Bluetooth, and it's next to our brains, actually disrupts mitochondria? There's not many organs that need more mitochondria than your brain. This isn't tin hattery. Check the data. We'll put some of the research papers below. This is a big win. And in fact, I was speaking to a client only yesterday who was skeptical about this and then said, oh yeah, actually, when I think about it, whenever we go away, we go to a log cabin in Canada where there's no Wi-Fi and there's no electromagnetic frequencies. I always sleep really better. That is funny, isn't it? So Wi-Fi is way more potent than we realize. And in fact, if you put your phone onto search for Wi-Fi right now, you can see as many as 20 or 30 networks around you. If that's the case and you've got sleep disruption or you've got other things going on, it may be that you need some kind of Wi-Fi blocking or disrupting device which creates coherence around where you're living. Leela Quantum do an amazing block on that. I'm not affiliated. I am not paid to say that. I've seen this make a massive difference for my own family. Even the dogs are calmer when we've got one of their devices in the house. Okay, sleep prep. This is where all of your amazing attention and assiduousness and following the blueprint starts to pay off. We're going to cover a sleep stack after this. There simply isn't enough space. We don't have enough boards for that. But let's look at the prep, and then we'll walk you through something called the Seattle Protocol to ensure that you sleep super deeply during the night. What's the first thing that we need to do? Well, is your room dark? If you can see your hand in front of your face, it's not dark enough. Think about that. If you can't make your room dark, you can either use blackout blinds or you can use a silk face mask. I say silk, there's some very affordable bamboo silk face masks, even on Amazon. Not to be underestimated. Do remember though, you've got photosensitive cells all over your skin, and even sunlight or light on your skin can disrupt you. So if you're super sensitive, then it might be that you need to invest in the blackout blinds. 2 hours before bed, you're going to stop liquids. Why? You don't want to be getting up in the middle of the night to have a pee. This is a simple way to do it. Next, you're going to embark on the Seattle Protocol, and we've modified it slightly. If you do this for a month, I would love to hear back from you, please. Being consistent with it, this yields so much for people. People who've had adrenal issues, energy issues, focus issues, even seen improvements in ADHD just by doing this Seattle Protocol. It's not fun, let me be clear, but it does work. So what does it include? Well, first of all, you're going to use a saline spray to clean your nose. You over the bathroom sink. Why? Well, you want to ensure that when you sleep, you are nasal breathing. This is so important for preventing something called chronic hypoxia. It will change the quality and depth of your sleep like that. I've had people who have then used this protocol and worn nose strips through the day to work because it has made them super more alert in their meetings, and they've said it's improved their verbal recall. True story. So, saline spray. Then, after you've cleaned your face and dried it, you apply a nasal strip. Now, these come in lots of flavors these days. It's getting a lot more attention as people wake up to the power of this. Nasal breathing is really a life-changing, health enhancing thing to do. Apply the nasal strip somewhere around here. There are some devices which fit in your nostrils. I find them a bit uncomfortable. The strips work fine for me. Last but definitely not least, put a piece of skin-friendly tape across your mouth. There's no need to be excessive about mouth taping with some electrical tape. That's not good. What you want is something which is non-claustrophobic to tape your mouth. So let's just recap what we've done in the evening. You've ensured you've got a dark room. You've stopped liquids. You've cleaned your nasal passages to ensure you're more likely to breathe through your nose. You've applied a nasal strip. Last but not least, you've done a mouth tape. Now, one thing that you can add into here if you find that you've had a stressful day is to go back and do some intermittent breath work, just some box breathing. And you know, one thing that really changes for lots of people is to do either a quick note of gratitude and to even write down your favorite moment of the day. Now, I'm going to stand by this. Lots of people consider it really woo at first and quite resistant to it. And they say, look, I'm really grateful. I don't need to write it down. The act of writing it down, a piece of pen on paper, just brings your attention to the present, and we'll even post some research links on how gratitude helps you lower cortisol. It actually improves your immune system, improves the depth of your sleep because it's changing you into parasympathetic dominance. Please throw yourself in. This is a really interesting adventure, and unlocking super deep sleep is game changing. Improves the enjoyment of the day, improves your ability to burn fat, improves your ability to actually balance your hormones when you're working with a practitioner. It will naturally lower stress. It allows you more energy and focus. There is only upside from improving and optimizing your sleep. So trust me on this, please. I've only included things where I've seen them make a significant difference. Let me mention one frenemy that could be lurking in the background, and that's alcohol. Whatever your stance on alcohol, alcohol does not help you sleep. It may knock you out temporarily while you fall into a coma, but it is a neurotoxin and it is proven to dramatically disrupt your sleep. Not only that, it suppresses your natural release of growth hormone, which would allow you deeper, more refreshing sleep. So if you're fighting energy crashes during the day and you're fighting focus and your sleep's disrupted, it's a really good idea to just ditch alcohol for a significant period, maybe 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, while you work on this and dial your sleep in. It's probably one of the biggest gifts you can give to yourself, is to find that super deep sleep of the innocent. Okay, I'm wishing you the best night's sleep of your life. Please remember, your symptoms are real. Your symptoms are here to guide you, but you're not alone and you don't need to do this by yourself. If you're ready to take the next step and you want to work with us, we have a link below with a host of options where we can meet you where you're at. Please do not struggle or suffer in silence. This is a brand new era, a brand new dawn in health. We've learned so much and we would personally love to share it with you. I'm wishing you the best night's sleep of your health. And from all of us at the Hormone Balance Clinic, thanks for watching.